Hello, I'm so excited that you're here. I'm really grateful that you've taken the time to jump into this little training, this little live podcast. Um, or this is what I encourage you to do is if you are short on time, but you still really want to listen or catch up to these recordings, please plug in your headphones, go for a walk, cook dinner, whatever you want to do. And while you're also listening to this, because I really want to impact as many people as possible and help as many of you as possible. And sometimes, being really efficient and convenient is the best way to do it. And I have to say, one of my favorite things to do personally is go for a walk at any time of the day or night by putting in my headphones and listening to some really great advice or stories or something really inspirational. So hopefully that is what I am going to be for you in this recording. Um, if you hear background noise, I'm currently house sitting. I'm looking after three dogs. One of them's my own, but looking after three dogs. And let me just say, it's good. It's going well, but it is very noisy and it can be very chaotic at times. So I've got two dogs that have decided to join me in the room, which I think is beautiful. But yes, they can be a bit noisy. So okay, so we're going to jump straight into it. I did a poll in the group and I asked, what topics do you guys want to hear the most? What should we kick off with? And the one that came, or there were two that came back as the most requested. It was a tie between creating daily lifestyle habits for success, like how do you do it and what are they? And then also how to connect to your passions and your purpose. So I'm really excited to talk about this because I feel like this is pretty foundational work. So, we want to set our foundations strong so that we can create, a really epic life. And this is a great place to start. So if you are just joining us in the group, then amazing. This is a really great place to begin that journey. Now, you might have already done some of this work before. This might be your first time. Obviously, people are at all sorts of different levels and stages. So take what is valuable for you and then, let go of the rest. So what I do want to start by saying is a couple of key things about both of those topics. In this training, I'm going to merge them both into one. But this is some really important information that's really, really relevant to both creating daily lifestyle habits and connecting to your purpose. And here's what it is. It can feel really overwhelming. It can feel like there is a lot of pressure that you have to live your life's purpose, find the reason that you're here, make sure you're doing the work that you love and what you're passionate about. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that from society, isn't there? And if you're not doing that, you kind of feel like there's a piece of you missing. You kind of feel like, well, what's the point? Why am I doing this? What am I here for? And then if you feel like you don't know what it is, well, it's like, well, holy shit, is there something wrong with me? Why can't I find or connect to my purpose? What am I passionate about? Is there something wrong with me because I don't have anything? Like this is the pathway that you can go down. So there typically is a lot of pressure from society, social media, the online space, friends, family, etc., that we need to know this. And there's often a lot of pressure that like there's one way to find your passion, find your purpose, and there's one daily routine for success. That's what I thought for years. I've been in the space, the personal growth space, for years, decades, right? And like I started when I was very young, but I was very conscious and aware back then. And I just feel like specifically with the daily routines or the morning routines, they're in the business space and the entrepreneurial space, there is a lot of pressure to have something set up. And so I feel like I have tried them all. When I was first stepping away from like 9 to 5 work and I was starting to explore the online world, I consumed everything, like every Tony Robbins book, every podcast on, being an entrepreneur. And they were all talking about the 5 a.m. club. That was like a massive thing. If you've heard it or if you've been part of that too, let me know. Comment comment below, and I'd love to hear your experience. So the 5 a.m. club was a really sort of bro style, masculine style method for success, apparently, right? So the whole idea was that you, in order to be successful in life, it was drummed into you that you had to get up before 5 a.m. So you had to get up at 4:45, ready to start your 5 a.m. practice. And it consisted, like, it was a real sort of tick the box experiment. So you had to, you know, ideally start with like a cold shower. I can't remember all of the steps, but it was basically along the lines of start with a cold shower, get some do some meditation, do some journaling, have some sort of movement, like exercise, like go and work out. And like each of these things were like half an hour each, right? They sort of, the longer you could do it, the better. But basically, the 5 a.m. club sort of went for ideally 2 to 3 hours. So yeah, it was all like, you know, tick the box here and do this and do your affirmations and write out your journaling and make sure you do this and, you know, focus on the goal and write the goal out like 50 times every single day, blah blah blah. Like it was really really intense. And then the whole idea is that you then go to your job, like go to your work, because, you know, by getting up and dedicating the first 2 to 3 hours of your day to that, theoretically was how you get out of your 9 to 5, right? Now, I did that. I genuinely did that while I was still working my 9 to 5. I actually had to get up earlier. I think I was like the 4:30 club because of the time that I started work. But because I was so like desperately wanting this success and desperately wanting to get out of my job and desperately wanting to be successful, I was like, well, this is what the successful people are telling me to do, so I better do it. But what happened was I ended up completely exhausted, completely burnt out. It felt like a chore. Oh, and you had to do it ideally 7 days a week, but they said sort of 5 days a week was the minimum. So I did that. And yeah, it was horrible. I hated it. But I did it solidly for a year. For 12 months, I would get up and do that. And I was like, oh, yeah, my moment's going to happen. It's going to happen for me. Yep, I'm taking the steps towards success. But it didn't. And like I said, the consequence, the result was, yeah, I was really burnt out. I was really tired. I started to resent it. I just got really, really angry at myself, angry at the world, angry at this, you know, particular person sharing it. So it's fair to say that the result didn't really happen, right? And I didn't get any closer to it. Because of that, I then actually went off of like daily routines for a good couple of years. When I sort of woke up to myself, I was like, you know what, Crystal? You're not designed for this, and this isn't designed for you. Stuff the daily routines. I'm just going to do what I want. So I kind of went from one extreme to the other. I went from like being really disciplined to, for a couple of years, being like, fuck it. I'm just going to get up when I want. I'm going to do what I want. Um, and I have to say that wasn't very good either because, you know, there was no accountability. And I certainly wasn't focused. So I just wanted to share that little story with you just to help you understand that, you know, I've been on this path for quite some time. I have certainly done and experienced a lot. And I guess what my own wisdom, like the summary of all of that, what it comes back to is my own wisdom from it. What it taught me was that discipline is really important to freedom. It's really, really powerful having a level of focus and being dedicated to something, but you absolutely must enjoy the process. And it needs to be able to bend and flex with you. And for me personally, this might be the same for you, it's really important to understand why I'm doing something. Because at that point, I didn't know why I was doing it. I was told that that was the secret to my success. That was the pathway. That if I did all of these steps every single day or 5 days a week, then that was going to lead to my success. But it didn't. Yeah. And I think that that's a really common thing for a lot of, well, for a lot of people is we give our authority away. We give our own inner wisdom away because we think that if someone else says, do A, B, C, and D, and then you'll get E, F, whatever your goal is, then that's the answer. And so we're going to listen to someone else more than we listen to ourselves. So that was like I'm super grateful that I did that. I showed myself that I could do it, but I also showed myself that my own inner wisdom is far more important. And it's about understanding what actually activates me, how I'm activated, how I'm motivated. Yeah. So saying all of that, I hope that that gives you a bit of context as well, and also some permission. But saying all of that, what I really want to share with you is that your daily lifestyle habits and connecting to your passion and purpose gets to be a playful experiment. Yeah, we get to take the pressure and the overwhelm and the time limit and all of that off, and we get to enjoy the process. We get to make it light, we get to make it playful, and it gets to be a lifelong experiment, which means there's no end. There's no end time. There's not like there's a finish line that you're going to pass through at age 44 and then you're going to have it all. Okay, that's not what it is. This is a lifelong. Your purpose, your passions, they evolve and they grow over time. Of course they do. You're an evolving, growing person. So, of course, they're going to evolve and grow as well. Yeah. So, really look at this like this beautiful, fun journey experiment that you get to go on. And because it's your experiment, it's about you really understanding what makes you feel good, what makes you feel activated, what you like and what you don't like. Yeah. An experiment shows us two things, two sides. An experiment shows us the contrast of what happens when we do something and what happens when we don't do something. Okay, so everything that you're going to experience and go through in this experiment really, really does get to be very beneficial for you. Okay, cool. All right, so there is no one way. There's no one way for any of it. Creating a solid habit or a daily lifestyle habit or your purpose. You don't have one purpose, by the way. I don't believe so anyway. I 100% believe, just like soulmates. Yeah, I believe we have many soulmates. I believe we have soulmates that are friends, like romantic partners. I feel like a soulmate can be short term or it can be long term. So just like soulmates, I believe that we have many purposes, and therefore many passions, right? Especially if you are multi-passionate like me, if you're a manifesting generator in human design, then of course you understand that. If you don't know what that is, that's fine. I'm going to share that with you later. But if you just identify that you have lots of different things that you love to do, perfect. We all have lots of different things that we want to do and can do. So you have many passions. I believe you have many purposes. And that means that your daily lifestyle habits are going to be quite infinite. Yeah, what works for you now may not work for you in a year's time. And it sure as heck probably isn't going to work for you or feel in alignment in 10 years' time. So there's no one way. I'm going to be sharing with you stories so that you've got examples. I'm also going to share with you things that I've done that I really love that have worked well for me. I might share things that maybe I haven't enjoyed. Who knows? I might give you that contrast. But really, what I want you to do is to take what feels good, leave the rest, and then really use it like a what's the word? I can't think of the word, but yeah, just really use it as as an experiment, as a chance to be like, oh, okay, Crystal mentioned breath work is really good. I'm going to go look at breath work. Oh, nah, that didn't really feel good for me. Okay, but maybe on that journey, that might lead you to something else. Okay, cool. So there's no one way. There is only your way, and your way is infinite. So talking about passions and purpose first, okay? The reason why, first of all, you can have more than one, like I said. And I actually believe that you already know what they are. I often speak to a lot of people who say, I don't really feel connected to my passion. I don't really feel connected to my purpose. I don't really know what I'm here for. I don't really know what I'm good at. I'm actually saying, you know what? You do. You already know it. You absolutely know it. Like, you are such a freaking powerful being, a powerful soul. Of course, like, you literally know everything already. Of course, you know what you're here for. But if you think that you don't, I think it's one of these three things. You haven't given yourself the time and the space to listen to yourself, to listen to what comes up when you think about something. You haven't given yourself the time and the space to actually notice what goes on inside your body, because our body is always talking to us. And your body, whether it's like a tingly feeling in your stomach, whether it's getting goosebumps on your arm, whether it's your gut intuition, whether it's, some kind of sensation or feeling in your body is talking to you all the time. And I hands down am telling you right now that at different points throughout your life, something connected to your passions and your purpose, you were in a situation, a conversation, a time, whatever, at an event where someone said something that was connected to it, and your body would have had a response. And you either didn't listen, you didn't know what it meant, you felt it, heard it, but you ignored it. Yeah, but I'm telling you right now that you already know it. But sometimes we just need to give ourselves that time and space. So, if you're the type of person who's always busy, you've got a massively full calendar, if you are always on your phone, so if the very first thing that you do when you wake up is jump onto Instagram or Facebook or whatever and start scrolling, and any possible moment where there's not something happening in front of you, if your first instinct is to jump on your phone, then you haven't given yourself time and space. If you find that you can't just sit still by yourself for a couple of minutes at a time, then you haven't created time and space to listen. Okay? The other reason why you feel or you think that you don't have passion and purpose, or you don't know what it is yet, the other reason why you think that is because you don't believe it. Like, you don't believe that you can do the thing, which kind of ties into number 3, actually. So at some point in your life, maybe multiple times, but at some point, somewhere, someone said something to you about the thing that you love. So I'm going to give you an example. So I've always wanted to work with animals. Like, literally since I was 3 or 4 years old, I was watching David Attenborough documentaries. Like, I have always been just obsessed with animals. So I grew up saying, I want to work with animals. I want to be a zookeeper. And, I would go to like family events as a youngster, and as you sort of grow up and get a little bit older, like, you keep getting asked the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was I still in primary school? No, I think I would have been early high school. So like year 8, year 9, something like that. And I remember my auntie and my uncle, one of them or both of them, asked me, so Crystal, have you decided what you want to do when you leave school? Like, where are you going? That sort of thing. And I said, well, I really love animals. I want to work with animals. Maybe I'll be a zookeeper or something like that. And then they said to me, basically, like they kind of scoffed and laughed, and they're like, oh, there's no future in that. There's no money in that. Why would you want to do something like that? Like, that's not even a real job. Those sorts of things started to come out. Now, as you can imagine, dream crushing, absolutely crushing. And at that age, you don't have the ability to think, right? To zoom out and think. And of course, you're going to listen to your auntie and uncle and your family when you get told things like this. And it just became, from that moment on, it just became this belief that I would never do it. I would never work with animals. It was a stupid idea. And I carried that with me. Like, pretty much that was the day that dream died. And I carried that with me for years and years and years and years. And so I pretty much then started looking at, I don't know, all these other options, right? As it turned out, when I was 24, I think, I had a quarter life crisis, and I was basically left with nothing. And I asked myself, what have I always wanted to do? And that's when I actually really heard loud and clear work with animals. So fortunately, I had like this sort of second chance, I guess, really, and I pursued it. I went for it, and that became my career for 13 years, and I absolutely loved it and adored it. It was amazing. But prior to that, there was a good 13, 14-year gap where I didn't, because that dream was crushed, because I didn't believe that I could do it. So that might have happened to you at some point. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the person who said it, or the thing that you saw, or the thing that you read, like if it was a family member, it's not to say that they were trying to be horrible or malicious. They would have, I'm assuming, had your best interests at heart. But if we're at that point in our life, that age, where we don't have the ability to sort of hold that sort of information, we don't have the capacity, and then keep going with it, then yes, it is absolutely going to impact us. So that's how we form beliefs, and very big subconscious beliefs. But it might have happened when you were 8 and now you're 28, 38, and you still have that belief. So this is really good to start looking at, well, okay, if I give myself some time and space, and I get off of my phone for a little bit, and I stop distracting myself with TV and news and people and doing things and a full calendar, and I create some space and some time in my life to just sit and listen, what comes up? And then if something comes up where it's like, oh, I've always wanted to be a writer. Oh, I've always wanted to write a book. Oh, I've always wanted to be an actress. If that comes up, you'll be able to hear it because you've created the time and space. Then if you notice, oh, but that's just a stupid dream. Oh, but you can't do that, Crystal. Or, if that comes up, that's a really good indication that, all right, you're holding a big subconscious belief, and that would have happened somewhere early in life. So maybe you had a similar situation to me, where family and friends said, made fun of something that you wanted to do. So this is a really powerful way to connect back in with what's already there. Like I said, it's there. You already know. You either just need to create that time and that space, and then also start looking at, well, what are the beliefs that you've got around it? Now, if you are someone who is pretty addicted to TV, media, phones, distractions, having a full calendar, trying to stay busy, and I'm saying all of this with absolute love, of course, but it is really important to understand that they are just distraction techniques. And so your very first step towards reconnecting back with these things, and ultimately yourself, is to create awareness around it, understand what's going on, why you're always trying to stay so busy, And then just start by doing something small. Yeah. So start by, trying to reduce the amount of time that you spend on your phone. If you notice that, oh, okay, I don't know, like I'm in the doctor's waiting room and I'm by myself, and you reach for your phone, just be like, oh, hang on a second. What could I do instead? I'm just going to put my phone down, going to put it on silent so I'm not distracted. And what if I just sat here for 2 minutes? What if I just sat here and watched people? Yeah. What if I just kind of, I don't know, maybe was present with my thoughts? Okay. Instead of flipping for a magazine, what if you just kind of chilled for a bit and just focused on your breath just for 30 seconds? So these are really great ways and really simple practices that you can start creating a little bit more time and space within your life. It's like creating, I kind of see it like a breathing bubble that's all around you. Yeah, this is how we do it. And if it's just for 2 minutes, if that's how you start and you're just, off of your phone or turning off the TV or not getting distracted just for 2 minutes at a time, that's okay. That's fantastic. Do that a couple of times a day or whenever you notice it. Pretty soon that's going to add up. And I can guarantee your anxiety levels eventually are going to go down. You're going to start to feel more calm, more present, more grounded. So really, really powerful and simple ways to, create that breathing bubble, create that space. And ultimately, if you do that with the intention of, oh, I want to reconnect back in with my passions and my purpose, actually start listening to what comes up. Maybe it doesn't happen when you're in a moment of, quiet contemplation. Maybe you'll be out with friends and someone will say something and it's just like a word or a sentence and you start to get the butterflies in your stomach or the excitement or your hairs go up on your arm and you get goosebumps. Start to notice these little things. If you're like, oh, that would be fun. Oh, someone said about working on a cruise ship. I've always wanted to work on a cruise ship. Oh my God. And just allow yourself to go there. Go there with the daydream and just notice that, hey, that's got a response. And you might want to journal about it. But the most important thing is just, really creating that awareness around what is your body responding to? What's getting you a bit excited and a bit activated? Yeah. Don't go into, oh, well, I can't do that because I don't have enough money and, oh, I haven't got enough savings and, oh, I'm not qualified to do that. Don't allow yourself to go there. Yeah. Like I'm going to do a massive training on this, but that's probably the biggest thing. But if you do go there, again, bring some awareness to it and just be like, okay, I've got some limiting beliefs there. I've got a couple of blocks there. And again, just bring it back to either, journaling or sort of talking out with a friend, something like that. Cool. Some other really powerful questions that you can ask yourself, again, connecting to that purpose is, if I was infinite, which you are, where would I be right now? Yeah, if time and money was no issue, where would I be right now? What would I be doing? Who would I be with? Start asking yourself these questions. Maybe you ask yourself that question as you go for a walk. And then as you're walking, you kind of like just daydreaming a little bit. It's like active daydreaming. It's really cool. Keep asking yourself those questions as many times as you like.